Okay, great. Welcome to today's episode. For whatever reason, Facebook was just refusing to go live. But I wanted to talk about an interesting experience that I had. I was on a coaching call with Shield out of Wake Up Warrior. And we were discussing, we have a 20-minute breakout session. And one of the men there was saying he was so annoyed, so just frustrated beyond belief with one of his team, that this guy was lazy, useless, generally just like not a good fit. And the question came, well, why don't you just get rid of him? Why don't you fire this guy? And the reason was that he had a particular skill set that was not replicatable. It was not easy to fill that skill set, so he was stuck with him. But what struck me was that he didn't confront the fact of, well, how did this happen in the first place? Like, how did he end up like that? And what's the chances that even if he fires him and he brings somebody else on with that particular skill set, that over time, that new employee, that new team member will also degrade to exactly where this current team member is right now. And what occurred to me was, even though there's a particular skill set that is required by this job, that is only a small part of what makes up the business's success. Like, you could actually have someone who could maybe do that job at a B level. He wanted an A player. He was like, I want a good person. I want someone who's good. But in my mind, I was like, mate, you might be missing the point here, that the thing that makes someone good might not be them. It might be the container that they are held in, that the way that you allow things to proceed in your business is actually creating this. That if there was a better culture, if there was a better way that things were done, a consistent way that things were done, a vision for the business, a way of having things on point so that even if that team member's sick, that the business continues to have a consistent experience for its clients. And this has come up before. I was interviewing businesses around how they do things at the moment, how they do their SOPs, their systems, their processes. And what was interesting was that some businesses appeared to actually have what would be approaching a toxic workplace culture. And the thought was that this was a leadership problem. But in actual fact, the digging deeper, it looked like they just had too many people and not enough processes. And what I took from this was that the culture is a result of the processes, that a business with no processes is highly likely to end up with a difficult culture, because no one knows what they're doing. They don't know what they're meant to be doing. They don't know what their teammates have been doing. That leads to frustration. That leads to anger. It's like, I thought you were doing this. You did this. The boss is like, why is my whole business falling apart? Everyone's stressed. Everyone is struggling. And it's like, well, this is the boss's fault. The boss is a poor leader. Or it's that employee's fault. They're not a good person. But in actual fact, if that very same business was to have its processes on point, even at some poor level, like, it doesn't even have to be great. It's like, okay, hey, this is our minimum standard. It doesn't have to be a fully documented binders, all perfect, like you're some kind of multinational, but at least some kind of guidance to say, hey, here's where we find these things. Here where those things are kept. This is how we do this. This is how we introduce a class. This is how we onboard a client. This is how we let go of an employee. This is how we onboard an employee. Like, these things that would, if they were done, would make a big difference. And so in this call, it was like, well, the failure to see that there could be a responsibility that falls to the owner for how his employees are, for how his team members are. If they're not good, is it the team member or is it the culture? And is it the culture or is it the lack of processes? So if you recognize that you're actually having cultural problems at your business, then just have a look and see how your systems and processes are. look, if they're on point and you're like, wow, we are highly systematized and you got a cultural problem, then okay, maybe you got a people problem then. But if you don't have your processes on point and you're like thinking that it's your leadership or thinking that it's your people, then I'd have you consider the possibility that this is in fact a process problem. If this is something that you want help with, if you're like, I just need a way, this is not going away, this is not resolving itself, then head over to systemio.dev, put in your name and email and grab the training there for you. Thanks for tuning in today. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode as we continue this journey into the power of processes and how it can affect your business for growth and more profitability. See you then.